Man, Jake set that up with some good offense, jabbing up top, jabbing to the body. That was a perfect setup, man. He had good movement.
Of all times, the two-time heavyweight world champion of the world, Iron Mike Tyson. And his opponent across the ring, fighting out of the red corner, wearing 83.6 pounds. Like his opponent, a perfect professional worldwide with tens of millions of media follows, living, training, fighting out of Dorado, Puerto Rico by the problem child, Jake Paul.
10, y'all two are the judges. Let's touch them up. Blue corner, you ready? Buck.
And we've had an accidental headbutt. I heard
Jake Paul seems pretty relaxed. Okay, because I'm like, you can't run in this.
I don't want any more of this.
Mike Tyson is out there fighting right now. I like a body. Then that left hook kind of landed.
That was a shot.
Right hand, maybe the side of the back, straight fall up.
Good exchange there in the inside. That was a pretty good uppercut, but that was pretty.
Up and not take no big hits, but keep it in tight like that.
But is it entertaining and exciting?
He can't let Mike get.
Skills of some of the greatest MMA strikers ever, including
With his head movement, missed shots and make him pay. Classic.
Well, ladies and gentlemen, it's been a great night of sports and entertainment, courtesy of GES Boxing.
Let's get the official decision now as Jake Paul gets his 8th professional win.
One, and he came out and he did it.
Okay, I'll come in the room after.
The air was electric on November 15th, 2024, as fans filled AT&T Stadium in Dallas. The energy was unlike any other, a blend of curiosity, excitement, and nostalgia as fans of all ages gathered to witness a match they'd never imagined. Mike Tyson versus Jake Paul. The arena was buzzing with anticipation, and the atmosphere was thick with expectation. Tyson, a legendary powerhouse who had inspired generations of fighters, was going head-to-head with Jake Paul, a social media mogul who had turned his online fame into a boxing career, shocking the world with his unexpected wins. With every seat filled, the arena was a spectacle in itself. Giant screens displayed Tyson and Jake warming up in their dressing rooms, each man in his own world, preparing for the fight of a lifetime. Tyson's warm-up was calm and intense, each shadow punch a testament to his decades of experience. Meanwhile, Jake was in his corner, a hint of tension on his face as he bounced around, glancing occasionally at the camera. He knew the gravity of this moment, facing a fighter whose power and fame stretched across generations. Finally, Tyson's music played, and the legend emerged, walking slowly yet purposefully, absorbing the crowd's deafening cheers. He wore a calm, predatory expression, eyes focused and determined. Moments later, Jake Paul entered with a more subdued entrance than usual, his face a mixture of confidence and apprehension. As both men took their place in the ring, the crowd roared, and the tension reached its peak.
Family's everything, but my kids, to my children, I'm nobody. But that night they're gonna find out their father's very special.
This was it. The bell rang, and the battle of two eras had officially begun. As the bell echoed through the packed AT&T Stadium, the crowd erupted with cheers and anticipation, a thunderous sound that seemed to reverberate throughout the arena. Underneath the bright, unforgiving lights, Mike Tyson and Jake Paul advanced towards each other with careful, measured steps, embodying two starkly different eras of boxing. The expressions on their faces told contrasting stories. Tyson's face was a mask of calm, an intense focus hardened over decades of experience in the ring, while Jake wore a look of both determination and underlying caution.
Who wants to bet on it, huh? Does anyone want to bet on it? I'm shaking hands. So how much we want to bet on this? You said, Mike, how much you want to bet? He said he's good. That's what I thought. Me. How much you want to bet?
Mike Tyson.
How much?
How much you?
The weight of the moment was etched into their every move. The tension in the air was palpable as both fighters took their initial steps, each one acutely aware of the other's reputation and the stakes. Jake Paul, standing taller with a significant reach advantage, immediately adopted a loose guard, his left arm outstretched to feel out the distance. He began circling Tyson cautiously, bouncing lightly on the balls of his feet as he threw out quick, probing jabs. Jake wasn't aiming to land a devastating blow yet. Instead, he was trying to gauge Tyson's timing, distance, and reflexes. His footwork was brisk and calculated as he attempted to establish control, creating a perimeter within which he hoped to maneuver the seasoned legend. Tyson, on the other hand, moved with the calculated patience of a veteran who knew he had all night to set his traps. He didn't rush. Instead, he maintained a tight, compact stance, his hands held high in his classic peekaboo guard, eyes laser-focused on Jake's every movement.
You still got it? Well, there's a double, triple jab with Mike Tyson.
He does.
Referee encouraging them. Two legends left.
Must be a round.
Possible task. The referee will have to really be on the...
Tyson's famous head movement was on full display, a subtle but consistent bob and weave that allowed him to dodge Jake's jabs by the slightest margin. His footwork was less about speed and more about positioning, as he took small, measured steps forward, inching closer to Jake, ready to launch into an attack the moment he saw an opening. Midway through the round, Jake's nerves began to settle, and he grew bolder with his jab, snapping it with a bit more authority in an effort to keep Tyson at bay.
Oh, right into the body, another hip-hop OG, Snoop Dogg, and look at this! Oh,
nice combination.
A little bit.
Uppercut from Jake Paul. Back.
One jab grazed Tyson's forehead, but the legend remained unfazed. Tyson continued to close the distance, his movements reminiscent of a predator stalking its prey, patient yet unyielding. The crowd could sense that Tyson was holding back, testing Jake's rhythm, as though he were silently assessing whether the young fighter's nerves could withstand the legendary pressure he was about to apply. Jake's corner shouted instructions, reminding him to keep moving and avoid getting cornered. Jake circled, but Tyson's footwork was masterful. He slowly cut off Jake's escape routes without expending unnecessary energy. Tyson's jab, though rare, was precise and targeted. Toward the middle of the round, he launched a stiff jab to Jake's chest, a psychological tactic as much as a physical one. It was a subtle reminder of Tyson's power, a short burst of energy that Jake felt in his core.
Putting it better than some of them. There's a double left hook by Tyson.
You can't let Mike get settled with the right hand.
That was a move and a half. He went real low. That was a low rider move right there.
Now, a very good uppercut, and then trying to utilize the footwork, the speed up.
And of course, the mistake he made in the first fight. Don't square up.
Tyson's jab wasn't just a punch. It was a signal to Jake that every movement, every inch, had been accounted for. After Tyson's jab landed, Jake's demeanor shifted slightly. A flash of realization crossed his face as he absorbed the punch's force, his initial bravado tempered by a newfound awareness of Tyson's strength. He instinctively took a few steps back, recalibrating his approach, his guard coming up higher in recognition of the battle he had ahead of him. The crowd sensed Jake's awareness as well, and a murmur of anticipation spread throughout the stadium, fans eagerly awaiting Tyson's next move. In response, Jake threw a couple of right hands that didn't quite land, but he hoped they'd keep Tyson at bay. Tyson easily slipped them, his head movement fluid and almost mesmerizing, a reminder of the skills that had made him a champion.
Low on his feet. Well, he was already set up right there.
That was
a nice 1-2 there. That was a solid 1-2 by...
Forward remains just blocked right 2 minute rounds.
Or so Willie just doesn't seem comfortable in there. He took a right hand from
liver and upstairs with that left hook, and there's a little of that bobbing weaving, of course.
Every time Jake threw a punch, Tyson seemed to be just out of range, moving his head with a precision that hinted at his mastery and decades of experience. Tyson kept advancing, his eyes locked on Jake's, searching for the slightest vulnerability in his guard. As the round progressed, Tyson's strategy became more evident. He began feinting with subtle movements, small jerks of his shoulders and head that forced Jake to react defensively. Each feint was a ploy to draw Jake out of his rhythm, to bait him into dropping his guard or making a critical error.
Day 3, you still want to with me?
Crowd watched with bated breath as Tyson's subtle movements hinted at his explosive potential, as though each step and feint was a countdown to an impending eruption. In the final seconds of the round, Jake attempted to assert himself with a short combination, jabbing to the body and following up with a right hand aimed at Tyson's guard. Tyson absorbed the shots with little effect, his guard impenetrable. As Jake's final jab landed on Tyson's gloves, Tyson responded with a sudden, thunderous jab to Jake's chest, sending a slight shock through Jake's frame and causing him to stumble back. It was a powerful reminder that Tyson, even in his older age, could unleash bone-shaking force at any moment. The bell sounded, signaling the end of the first round, and both fighters backed away to their respective corners. As Jake sat down, his corner worked frantically, instructing him to keep the distance and stay agile. Jake's expression was one of concentration and realization. He now understood the challenge he was facing, the depth of Tyson's skill, and the raw power behind each punch.
Nice left hook! Up.
Was good for today.
Yeah.
I took it.
You sure?
Yeah, me
yes. You fucking sure?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah. You sure? Yeah. Fuck with me, it's alright?
Yes. Let's do this. You did great.
We're done.
He wiped a bit of sweat from his brow, his face bearing a slight flush as he took in the advice from his corner, nodding in acknowledgement. Tyson, on the other hand, returned to his corner with a serene focus, barely breathing heavily as he took a sip of water. His team offered minimal words, knowing that Tyson's mind was already strategizing, adjusting, preparing for the next round with the methodical precision of a fighter who had seen it all. As the crowd buzzed, sharing glances of excitement and awe, it was clear to everyone in the arena that this was more than just a fight. It was a test of wills, experience against youth, legacy against ambition.
Don't charge at me, Tyson.
Tyson had begun to assert his dominance, but Jake had shown a resilience that suggested he wasn't going to back down easily. The crowd settled, anticipation building again as they awaited the start of round 2, fully aware that the battle had only just begun. With the second round underway, Tyson picked up the intensity. He pressed forward, closing the gap more aggressively, and testing Jake's defense with hooks aimed at the body. Jake kept moving, throwing jabs to keep Tyson at bay, but Tyson was relentless. Each time Jake moved back, Tyson angled his footwork to keep the pressure on.
Yes, sir. That's the one.
Slowly cutting off Jake's escape routes and backing him closer to the ropes, Tyson landed a clean body shot that visibly shook Jake, making him wince slightly. The crowd erupted in cheers, sensing Tyson's power beginning to make an impact. Jake tried to regain control, throwing a few counterpunches that Tyson easily dodged, slipping and weaving as if he hadn't aged a day. By the end of the round, Jake's breathing was slightly heavier, and his corner urged him to stick to the game plan of maintaining distance. Tyson, meanwhile, appeared calm and ready to step up the intensity further. The third round saw Tyson adopting a more aggressive stance. He was no longer testing. He was starting to dictate the pace. Tyson closed in, throwing combinations aimed at Jake's midsection, and then following up with hooks to the head. Jake tried to respond with jabs, but Tyson's relentless footwork allowed him to move past them, inching closer and closer with each movement. Tyson landed a thunderous left hook to Jake's ribs, followed by an uppercut that narrowly missed Jake's chin. Jake stumbled, his guard faltering as he felt the raw power Tyson could unleash.
How much? As much as you're willing to lose, brother.
Okay, so I'll give you my property in India.
How much?
My property is like more than 1 million. I'll give you. Deal.
How much you want to bet? Bro,
The younger fighter's confidence seemed to waver as he realized the sheer force he was up against. The crowd sensed the tension as Tyson pursued Jake, forcing him into the corners with a calculated rhythm. By the end of the round, Jake looked noticeably affected, his footwork slowing and his jabs losing some of their sharpness. Tyson returned to his corner with a quiet focus, his team barely needing to advise him as he prepared for the next round. The fourth round opened with Jake Paul attempting to regain control. He knew he had to make a statement, so he came out swinging with a renewed aggression, throwing combinations that aimed to keep Tyson at bay.
the time I spent taking a is how much you make in your whole life, buddy. Shut the up. How much you want to lose? $1 million, deal. We got 1 million here, 1 million here. Come on, you guys want to do this? Put your money where your mouth is. How much money? Exactly. How much money? Exactly. How much money? A ring. Deal.
He even managed to land a decent right hook to Tyson's face, snapping the legend's head back slightly. The crowd reacted with surprise and excitement as Jake showed a flash of resilience. But Tyson was unfazed. He absorbed the punch with a slight smile, a signal to Jake that he'd barely felt it. Tyson immediately countered, responding with a brutal hook to the body, followed by a left uppercut. Jake staggered, clearly feeling the impact. Desperate to slow Tyson down, Jake attempted to clinch, but Tyson used the opportunity to deliver short, devastating shots to the body. Jake's breathing became labored, and by the end of the round, his face was a mask of pain and fatigue. The crowd roared as Tyson returned to his corner, his confidence clearly growing. With the fifth round underway, Tyson intensified his assault, his experience and power on full display. He cut off the ring, trapping Jake against the ropes and delivering punishing blows to the body and head. Jake was visibly struggling, his attempts to escape becoming increasingly desperate. Tyson landed a series of hooks to Jake's ribs, each one seeming to sap the younger fighter's energy further. Jake's corner shouted at him to keep moving, but Tyson's relentless pressure left him with few options. A brutal uppercut snapped Jake's head back, and the crowd gasped as they witnessed the fight's brutal reality. Jake stumbled, his guard barely holding up as he absorbed Tyson's onslaught. The bell rang, saving Jake for the moment, but he returned to his corner visibly shaken, his team working furiously to revive him. The sixth round began, and Tyson wasted no time, charging forward with a newfound intensity. He threw a series of combinations that overwhelmed Jake's defenses, his fists a blur of power and precision. Jake, exhausted and battered, tried to fight back, but his punches lacked the power and speed that had carried him in the early rounds. Each of Tyson's punches seemed to land with a crushing impact, breaking down Jake's guard bit by bit. Tyson threw a left hook to Jake's ribs, followed by a powerful right that sent Jake stumbling back. The crowd was on its feet, sensing that the end was near. Jake's face was a mix of pain and exhaustion, his body barely holding up under Tyson's relentless pressure. In the seventh round, Tyson moved with the focus of a man who had already tasted victory. Jake could barely hold his guard up, his legs shaky, his expression filled with resignation. Tyson stepped in, delivering a final, devastating combination, a left hook to the body, followed by a right hook to the jaw that sent Jake crashing to the canvas. The referee began the count, but Jake lay still, unable to rise. The count reached 10, and the fight was over. Tyson had won by knockout, and the crowd erupted in deafening cheers. In the post-fight press conference, Jake Paul appeared humble, his face marked with bruises. He spoke with humility and respect. Facing Mike Tyson was an honor and a humbling experience. He showed me what real power and skill look like. Tonight was tough, but I learned a lot. I'll come back stronger, and I have nothing but respect for Tyson. He's a true legend. Tyson entered to a standing ovation, speaking with a calm pride. Jake's got heart. He stood his ground, and not everyone would. I'm grateful for this fight, and I wanted to remind people of what I still have. I don't know what's next, but tonight, I gave it my all. Thank you to everyone who believed in me. As fans left the stadium, They knew they'd witnessed something unforgettable. Tyson had reclaimed his legacy, and Jake Paul left with newfound respect for the sport and a determination to rise again. It was a night of pure boxing magic, a testament to the sport's timeless thrill.